Let me tell you guys about Belly Up Sports. Belly Up Sports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. Belly Up Sports is the premier, not your average website. The inspiration for this thought, Edward, actually comes from on Goals TV for Box to Box. Jose had an interesting interview with a guy who basically talked about how promotion relegation could be something is like a missing piece to get people behind U.S. soccer. And there was a comment about how because the guy that he was interviewing is a Chelsea supporter, and he's from I guess from one of the Carolinas, and he was basically saying, "Are you calling him essentially a glory hunter for being a Chelsea fan when he lives in the Carolinas?" And because I guess technically, and because technically, he really has no real connection to Chelsea in some sense because he's not from Chelsea. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense to you, Edward.
Yeah.
Uh, and so it had me thinking. Well, so I argued with him for a bit because that's what you do on social media, and because I was like, well, they're a big, and I hated that I had to say some nice things about Chelsea, but I was like, they are a big club. That whenever we do get to watch Premier League matches or anything of that nature, that's probably one of the teams that you might see on television, especially here in the United States. Obviously, we didn't have Peacock wasn't a thing yet, right? Where you can pick the Premier League game you want to watch, or same thing with you and me with La Liga, right? For ESPN Plus, we don't have to, or I guess Edward watches it through Hulu, but you don't just get to pick, Edward can, maybe Edward the only thing we could watch that day is Atletico Madrid versus Athletic Club Bilbao, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe you can't watch Barcelona versus Getafe, and I can't watch Real Madrid versus Leganes. We have to watch that game. That's the only game we can watch, and
Yeah.
that's how it used to be. And so, but when especially here in the U.S., obviously they want us to watch the big market teams, and so that's how we become fans of those bigger market teams. Right? In reality, when in reality, there's a lot of teams, right? There's a lot of teams in Europe. There's a lot of teams in England. There's a lot of teams in Spain. There's a lot, the list goes on and on. But and then it got me to thinking though, is it weird that that's what we end up supporting? Is it obviously Edward, you're a Barcelona fan. I support Real Madrid. Is it weird that we support probably the two biggest markets when it comes to football?
Yeah. I mean, I don't let me put it this way. I don't think it's weird.
Hmm.
It because we were brought up like that. You know what I mean? Like we weren't brought up our parents, well, my parents, they weren't big on any sport here, like American football, baseball, or anything. It was always about soccer. Now, my parents, and you know this, they're not big on like the Mexico team, the
Hmm.
Mexico soccer team. They've always been like, oh, USA this because one, the El Salvador team's not that great.
Hmm.
It's better now than what it was before, but it's not saying much.
Yeah.
Um, but for us, we grew up watching Brazil, Argentina, Spain, and Netherlands, like that kind of stuff. Like we grew up watching that kind of soccer because back then, in the late 90s, early 90s to early 2000s, um, we didn't get a lot of soccer like how we do now here in the US. It was always about baseball. It was always about football, American football. Um, Hell, basketball, it was always that. My parents, you know this, they weren't never big on soccer until they started watching it now in Univision. And back then, Univision didn't have soccer. It was always you had to remember how we used to get it through cable. Like you had to watch it through cable, through ESPN, ESPN Sports. And whenever we got cable, that's what we started watching that's how we started watching European soccer. So
Hmm.
then that's when we started liking certain things. Like me through YouTube, I found Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho played for Barcelona, and then I started wanting to play like him. I liked the way he played. I liked the way that Barcelona played, and then I just kept going with that. And then that's when I was like, I guess you can call me a Euro snap. I haven't found anybody here in the MLS that can do all those things
No,
that,
yeah, no, you're
you
absolutely right
know,
about that part. No, but I think you said it best. I think well, you said it kind of somewhere how same way I felt where you and me found saw these players that we liked and we try to figure out where they played for or where what I mean I think at one point you and me didn't even know that club was even a thing.
yeah,
Like
we,
we just knew about international like World Cup and Copa America. Like that's what we didn't even know about Gold Cup.
yeah.
Um and I mean obviously we you and me both were in love with Brazil. And I mean it comes once again from
Oh yeah.
both our parents like being more specific for Brazil because obviously El Salvador is just depressing to watch.
I
But
mean, we're still fans of the clubs there.
well,
It's just,
well, I mean, but once again, we just didn't know about club football. We just knew
yeah.
about national teams, and so then when you see Ronaldinho and I see R9, we're just like, oh, dude, these guys are good. And so, like you said, you were watching Ronaldinho videos, I was watching R9 videos, and then that's when I found out this guy played for Real Madrid. And so then I
Hmm.
started watching Real Madrid, and I'm seeing, and then like once again, all we knew was international football. So then I see Zinedine Zidane. I'm like, hey, I know that guy. And then you see you see Roberto Carlos, you see Raúl, you see Iker Casillas. And then I learned about Raúl. I learned about
Yeah.
Iker Casillas. I learned about Salgado. I learned about these players, and I'm like, man, this team is good. Like I like watching. I didn't even know they were the best team in Europe. I didn't know they were the best.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know they were like the multi Champions League winning team. I didn't know that they had X amount of La Liga titles. I just knew I like these guys. It's cool. These jerseys are clean. You know, and I'm sure the same thing with Edward. Like when he was just like, oh. I didn't know. Oh, look, there's a Mexican that plays in this team in Spain.
Yeah.
Rafa Marquez. Like
Dude, and Rafa Marquez is it was badass watching
and
him
this is
play.
like before Messi.
Yeah,
Like
this was before Messi. Yeah.
like you probably saw like this little dude in a 30 jersey, and you're just like, who the heck is this guy?
Yeah.
And then you find out who the heck that guy is. But like, so I think that we do have like an attachment to these teams, and I mean like, shoot, I remember when Real Madrid got to come here to Houston, and I remember just being in it. Like I knew the songs, I knew the chants and everything because of how embedded I am with Real Madrid. And it's the same thing goes for you. I'm sure if we ever get a chance to go, if Barcelona ever comes to Houston or near Texas, we're gonna try to figure it out. So.
Yep.
But like, and I'm sure the same thing goes for you, where you're gonna be able to be passionate about watching Barcelona. I don't know what chance they sing, so, um, but I'm sure maybe you have an idea.
Yep.
But that kind of goes back to it. I don't know if it's glory hunting. I think for us it wasn't because we were kids.
Yeah.
We just saw players that we liked.
We just loved the style of play that they brought that we didn't see that here
Yeah,
at the time. We didn't see that here, man.
yeah. So and that's kind of where at least it stemmed from me. And so like I don't think it's glory hunting when it's like this is all you're able to watch. Like for instance, someone that I consider a father figure to me, he grew up in Mexico and the only American football team that he could watch was the Dallas Cowboys. So there's a lot of Mexicans that love the Dallas Cowboys
Yep.
because that's the only team they could watch. Now I'm sure that they have the same access like we like now you and me can watch Barcelona and Real Madrid when they're playing because of Hulu and ESPN Plus. But like for them, that all they could watch was Dallas Cowboys, so that's all they knew was the Dallas Cowboys,
Yep.
and they like the Dallas Cowboys. So that's why if you see like a lot of Mexicans in Dallas Cowboys years, probably because that's the only team they watched, and they grew up becoming Dallas Cowboys fans. And so, and he explained that to me. So I'm like, if that's the only thing that you're watching, like if that's all, if we're only seeing the big teams, right? Like then slowly we start being able to watch Champions League games, right? So like
Yep.
if that's the only thing we're able to watch, we were only access to the good teams.
Yep.
Like so we would if someone's a Chelsea fan, it's probably because that's all we were able to watch was Chelsea games. If we were only able to watch Barcelona games, Real Madrid games, like if we were like our only European football opportunities that we got to watch were teams that were deemed good. Did we know they were like the best teams in the world? No, we just knew that this is what was on TV, and I liked how they played.
Yep. Sounds
And
about right.
And so like So I don't think it's glory hunting. I don't, and that's the thing that commenter was basically saying that we were all glory hunters, but like, if that's all you're watching, so that's why I can understand like someone from Japan that only watches that can only watch the Yankees, right? Because maybe I think at that time the Yankees had like a well-known Japanese player, so that's all they watched was the Yankees. So then when they came to
Yeah,
U.S., they love the Yankees.
yeah, that's all. They love the Yankees.
So I don't think it's weird. I don't think it's weird for the like now with Shohei Ohtani. Like I don't I expect to see a bunch of Japanese folk with Dodger jerseys.
Yep,
Like so like I don't think it's weird. The same thing with the Lakers and Cowboys. These are like weirdly enough, from an American aspect, not internationally, but these are bigger brands. Like people, people have Yankees caps. Like, they see their favorite. People maybe you don't like American culture to some extent, but you love American music, right? Like some people love like the rap, the hip hop from the New York hip hop from back in the day, right? You see your favorite rapper wearing that Yankees cap, you want to get yourself a Yankees cap, and now you identify the Yankees.
yep,
And so like so to me like I don't think it's weird. I don't think it's weird seeing someone from that likes the Lakers that are from Europe because they love Kobe. Like I don't think it's weird. I think it makes sense. Like okay, you like Kobe. You probably get a lot of
yep.
content of Kobe and you see him in a Lakers jersey and you're like, "Well, I'm going to like the Lakers." Which I mean, Lakers are doing pretty good right now. But anyways, but that was my point. Like I don't think it's that weird. I really don't think it's that weird if that was all you were able to see that's what you're gonna like. But I do. I just want to challenge you with this, Edward. Before we wrap this up,
Okay.
if you knowing now, like now that you've watched all the football that you've seen now, like if you were able to be little Edward again, which club do you think you would actually support?
Right now, honestly, probably still Barcelona. And this time it would actually be because of Lamine Yamal.
Mm.
Think about it, because like even my kids who are 7 years old, and I've told this to because they've seen how he plays. They saw him in the last game, not the Leganes game, but the one before the Dortmund game. They actually saw how Lamine Yamal took the ball, started going down the midfield, and he took on like four players, and then he stopped, passed the ball back. That's just to waste time, just to buy time. And they were like, "Oh, he's so good." And I was like, "Yeah, he's only like 17 years old, so he's only 10 years older than you." Oh, they're like, "Can I get that good? Can I be like that?" And then Ika now he's like, like whenever he sees the game, he's like, "When's Barcelona playing?" Like he's asking me. I'm not telling him,
Mm.
"Hey, Barcelona's playing." He's asking me. And I'm like, I was like, they play later. Can we watch it? And I was like, well, we can watch the Champions League game because I don't have access to the Liga games. I was like, but sure. So then he'll want to watch replays and he'll even ask like to watch Messi videos. So it's the same with me. Like I watched Cristiano Ronaldo videos back in for Manchester United. I watched Messi videos for Barcelona. I watched Ronaldinho videos for Barcelona. Like so it's just, I think it's the same thing. Like now, even like the Lamine Yamal videos, just the clips, they're fire, bro. Like him just taking that curl, even in the Spain jersey, that goal he scored before he turned 17. Man, that was a thing of beauty, man. So I mean, yeah, I would probably say I would still stick with Barcelona. Like, because there's not a player out there that's sticking out to me right now. And I'll be honest with you, if Lamine Yamal wasn't as hot as he is right now, I would probably have said, you know what, Manchester City, because of Phil Foden, like another player who's like a really badass dribbler, left-footed.
Mhm.
And but I haven't seen anything from him. I'm
Mhm.
assuming I think he's injured. I think he is. I'm not 100% sure. But, just in that little bit of understanding, but still, it would still be somebody from across the pond, you know.
No, yeah, and I think I'm on the same way where I'd still be a Madrista, but okay, I'll say if you couldn't pick Barcelona,
If I can, I guess Manchester City. Like
that's
I
just
said, they got
Phil
you
Foden.
got you got Phil Foden, Erling Haaland. Um, you got Rodrigo was there. You got Pep, the coach. That he's a really good coach. Um, yeah, so I mean, it's honestly just it's just a hell of a good team. Like they got all these players, players that kids look up to, and they want to play just like them, you know. And I mean, how many? Let me put it this way: in Manchester City, Jack Grealish is probably the poster boy that he just goes out. He's a kid guy. He's a old like he's like the he'll cater to the elderly. Like he'll be thinking like their family. Like it's not like I'm saying like other players do it, but it's like he does it in a way.
And then I think he has a sister, right?
He
That's
has a sister, yes, who his he she has special needs. Yes, you're correct.
yeah.
So it's like stuff like that, where he understands. So it's like he shows it, and a lot of people they of course show it, but it's like he can relate to it, and you can tell just by the way he carries himself on that aspect. And I mean, think about it when when he won the what was it the Champions was it the Champions League and the
Oh yeah, dude, that guy was
yeah the
that guy was a
he
vibe.
it was a vibe altogether. He was the only one. I think it was like the day after, and he
They
was the
did
only one still.
they
It was
someone
like the
edited his celebration and like had like, kind of like similar as to like the Hangover.
oh
Like when
God,
they're like rewatching the like looking through all the photos from the night before.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so yeah, they like basically did that scene, but then it's all Jack Grealish. Just Jack Grealish just having a blast. And so I thought that was a very
No,
accurate.
and that's the thing. It's like that's a
Also,
player who, like
the
I said, he stands
Bleacher
out.
Bleacher Report. They did when they did the World Cup house, like that little like the show that they had like the champions.
Yeah,
Um, I they did when they had because USA was in the same group with England, and when the Americans were chugging, beer, Jack Grealish is in there with them like saying chug chug chug.
yeah, yeah.
So I was like, yeah, that guy's definitely the vibe. So yeah,
So, so, so it's like even let's put it this way, even in the outside of aspect of things, even if that's not my thing, the whole drinking thing, but it's like the other aspect of it, is football, and he's a prolific player.
that
So
guy
it's like
literally
that.
was that. I think Jack Grealish is legitimately the guy that when someone says act like you've been there, and he's like, but I haven't.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Also, I hate that phrase. Act like you've been here. I literally have not.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's just little things. It's little things like that where it's like it'll make you like a team because it's like okay, for example, when Darwin Nunez was doing the whole thing with Liverpool, you know what I mean? That speech in Spanish, and he was like, "Tenemos que hacer esto, tenemos que hacerlo mejor, tenemos que jugar al mero. Es por nuestro club, es por nuestro país, es por nosotros." And then all of a sudden you see Jordan Henderson, "Yes, whatever you said, Darwin. Yes, I agree. I don't know what he said, but I agree." And everybody's like clapping and everything, but they're just following Jordan Henderson's whatever the hell he said, you know? So it's like stuff like that. It's what makes it like putting them out there, the teams, like stuff that it makes you want to be like, I want to be a part of it. Like, growing up as a kid, you're like, I want to be a part of that. I want to experience that. So it's like that's where you start choosing the teams of how they are. And like I said, at the time when I was a kid, Ronaldinho was the one that portrayed all of that. He portrayed the love for soccer. He portrayed the fun of having it in the Brazil jersey and in the Barcelona jersey. He portrayed all of it. AC Milan jersey. He portrayed it like he portrayed the love for soccer. He portrayed the love for life, and that's why I was like, "Yo, I want to learn how to do those tricks. I want to learn how to do this just for fun, just for shits and giggles." And
I think this is the most impressive way to put Jack Grealish and Ronaldinho in the same
I mean,
category.
they're kind of the same way in that same
No,
way,
I love it though. I love that. I think it's I
Their
think
persona, their persona are
the
basically
same
almost one and the
similar
same.
auras. Just maybe Jack
Yes.
and both have very memeable moments where Ronaldinho
Yes.
has two wives and the Jack Grealish picture that I will never shut up about. But
Oh God, yeah.
guys invited to the cookout. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, you kind of sold me on Manchester City now.
You what a what?
You just sold me on Manchester City. I think now more so than ever, I've become more of like a U.S. soccer supporter. So I don't want to say I would have a team. I want to say I would not have a team. I could be completely wrong on that. But I think just because like I would be more supporting the players abroad, and then maybe I would think I'd probably be more like more Homer with the Dynamo, if that makes any sense. Even though they're
Mm.
terrible right now. But I don't know. I think because the way like I do find that that argument has been kind of getting me to think a little bit. And I mean, not saying that I'm gonna all of a sudden not be a Madrista. That's not what I'm saying. But I thought it was an interesting question to have, and I think like even in some sense, like I used to say I like Bayern Munich, and then I kind of learned more and more that I really don't care for Bayern Munich. Um, you
It
know,
was always about the players.
it's always about the players, and then
It was always about the players
same thing for
and
AC
also the
Milan.
coaching.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like same thing for AC Milan. Like I didn't really care too much about AC Milan, but like I liked the players. I liked Ricardo Kaká. I liked Maldini. I
Oh,
liked
Gattuso, your man, dude.
Gattuso.
That's your dude. That's your dude.
Pirlo. All those guys. Like I didn't care about AC Milan at all. I just cared about those players. And like kind of like the cleansing that I did was just like, would I be pissed if they beat Real Madrid in the Champions League? And the answers were all yes. So that's the only team that I wasn't pissed off that at least the idea of losing to them wouldn't piss me off as much was Arsenal.
And here's the deal. I could say the same for Juventus for me, for Juventus, because it was always about the players. I love the players that played for it. I'm not saying that I don't love them now. Still room for Juventus to come out of it. But the only team that I can say that I'd be like okay with it, maybe because of the respect that I have for the manager from back then, it's probably Manchester United. That's the
Yeah,
only one that I'd be like, oh, if they win, I'm okay with it. Like if they beat Barcelona, I guess I'll be okay with it.
it's funny because
But oh,
this literally been two finals of this.
yes,
But I mean, like I like how I always explain to people, like my club is Real Madrid, but I
yeah,
support Arsenal. So that's usually how I tell. And then obviously I also love the Dynamo. But yeah, no, I think at the end of the day, man, who gives a shit about who your team is? Like even for the
hmm
people that like try to give people crap about like, oh, you live in Texas, but you like the Yankees. Like, dude, who cares if that's who they like? That's who you like. Like I don't think anybody ever has to justify why they're a fan of a team. Like I think at the end of the day, like even though technically this is what we were literally doing right now, but like I don't think you have to like explain yourself why you like a certain team. Like there's a lot of people that became huge Michael Jordan fans, and I totally get why you still maybe like the Chicago Bulls, even though this team probably has no reason for you to support them. But like, I can see where someone, for instance, like, I still kind of like the Lakers because of Kobe. And so
yeah.
I'm on that boat where you're like, it doesn't really matter. Like, who cares if you don't like, you don't have to explain yourself why you like a certain a team or. Who is that guy?